part of you as a mother of two daughters and a son? I'm kind of thinking just for a moment about this. That this is the man who talked about grabbing women by the pussy. Is there any part of you that feels this is not my guy? I don't want this guy to be talking like this about any woman at all. Do you not despair for the future in any ways?
Sweetie, I would rather be grabbed by the pussy than have a pussy for president. Go you.
And you're happy with that language?
I'm very happy with that language. Look, none of us are that polite behind closed doors. My girlfriends have ruder language. Real men have ruder language. The gentleman clapping is a real man, obviously. He would have ruder language than pussy. I'm not offended by the expression.
He's no longer in the locker room. He's in the Oval Office.
Sure, and that was a private conversation 8 years ago before he was running. Whilst Clinton was in the Oval Office, of course, Monica Lewinsky was on her knees with Hillary stood right by her. So I don't know if you're going to say that's any better, sweetie, because I don't think it is.
She's not president. I'm talking about the current president-elect.
Yes, but when Bill Clinton was president...
I'm not talking about the past, I'm talking about the future.
And 8 years ago, before Donald Trump even ran, he used the word pussy. I'm not offended. You are. You deal with your issues.
Are any of you have no issues? I'm just curious, is there any part of you remotely concerned about the nature of...
No, you know, what we needed in America was someone that was going to have a strong lead, who was going to stand up for white people as well as black people in America, who was going to stand up for bringing jobs back, for allowing Americans to have their weapons, and for allowing the Supreme Court to be a conservative Supreme Court. No one here can really understand that, which is why the pollsters were wrong, why you guys were wrong, why state broadcasters were wrong, and every other commentator and every other pundit was wrong.
Last question
because you didn't get it right. I think it's important.
Wow. All right, folks. We played that this because I wanted to kind of bring that on first and then show you this AI video that President Trump posted. I'm sure everyone has seen of him pooping on the No Kings protesters. So you can see him. This is all AI generated, and he is kind of making fun of these No Kings protests. He has always been like this. So we're going to get into all of this and more. This is Pop and Politics, our Wednesday night show. I'm KJ. Let me introduce you to my co-hosts. Of course, we have Nicole Bennett.
Hey, family.
And Shelly E.
Hi, everybody.
All right, folks, we've got a full show tonight. Before we light this fire, do your part, tap that thumbs up, smash that subscribe button, and turn on your notifications. We're live here on YouTube. If you're on the go, you can catch us on Apple Podcasts or Spotify under the name Pop and Politics. We love our chat. We shout out every super chat. So drop your thoughts, show your love, and join the conversation that the mainstream media wishes didn't exist. This is not just a podcast. This is a movement of God-fearing, truth-seeking, America-loving people that value freedom. Stand with us and subscribe so we can amplify this rallying call for freedom. All right, ladies, let's set it off. Wanted to show that at the top of the show because that sentiment that lady had, that was a British talk show. I want to know if you all feel the same way about this AI video of President Trump flying the plane, landing, putting poop over the protesters. One of them being, I believe his name is Harry Sisson. Big activist on the left. And the left is, as Shelly says, apoplectic about this. They are upset about President Trump posting this AI video. Do you think he went too far? Shelly, what are your thoughts?
First of all, when I heard that lady, I said, that sounds like somebody I know that would say something like that. In fact, I think I've said that. I'd rather have a pussy in the, not a pussy in the White House and let them grab my pussy. I think I said that. I was clapping. I was like, oh, I told you they listen to us, KJ and Nicole. I tell you, people listen to us. They just don't give us enough credit yet. But nevertheless, that poop, whatever, dumping the poop, hilarious. Okay, hilarious. I mean, you can't get it, and you can't get any better. President Trump is who he is. Everybody knows it's like you said, he's dumping on the left. He's dumping on those protesters. Okay, that's how a lot of people feel. Doesn't mean that he's going to go after them and wants them murdered. He's giving them the shit that they always give us. He's giving it back to them. Poop. I hope he has diarrhea.
All right, Nicole. So some have said this was below the office of the president. You know, this is below him. He is supposed to be the president of all. And, you know, although this is funny, or this was a funny AI video, it was not. It was done in poor taste. Your thoughts?
Well, you should not ever lick poop, Democrats. Don't lick the poop. Don't lick the poop. That's just some professional knowledge for you. But what I will say is, remember, let's roll back to last week when they were talking about the press office and all the little tiny things that were coming out of press office that was hurting their feelings. And remember when I said the day that Caroline Leavitt takes the handcuffs off that press office, they would blast America's bangs back, making them laugh at these Democrats. Well, welcome to that day. Like I said, she's got a loaded gun and she's not afraid to use it. That press office is everything. And if you think this little bit of AI...
Oh, we lost Nicole. Okay. Well, Nicole gave her opinion on this, but others are still raging mad about it. One of them is former President Biden's dear old son, Hunter Biden. Okay. As of all people, he is out here slamming President Trump as being inappropriate. Can you believe it? Can you believe it? Okay. Here he is in an interview talking about how bad this was for President Trump to do. This is clip 9.
So when I see the president of the United States create an AI video wearing a crown and dumping excrement on the heads of American peaceful protesters and, you know, TikTok stars like Harry, I see him basically painting a bullseye.
Wow.
Painting a bullseye on somebody like that.
I hadn't thought of it that way, but that's, you know what I was distracted because I just was blown away by the fact that the fucking president of the United States put a 22-year-old kid in a video and like, oh, obviously these protests don't bother you at all because, you know, you're just doing this video of this 22-year-old kid. Like, what a small person. I didn't even think about the potential for violence, but is that...
Well, think about it. This is not only the potential for violence, isn't he just completely conditioning us with how many times has he sent out videos of him wearing a crown?
That's true. And
by the way, it's not a joke. It's not just a troll. We always say this. Every single thing that everybody said, it's just him trolling us. It's that he's done it. Yeah. He just commuted George Santos's sentence. By the way, nobody likes George Santos. The Republicans don't like George Santos. Nobody on Fox News likes George Santos. Everybody was happy that George Santos was going away. Yeah. Why did he do it? You know why he did it? To show that he can do anything. Anything he wants because he can. You know,
wow. This guy has got his nerve. And guess what? Nobody likes you, Hunter. And we didn't want to see your penis on all over social media, but we had to see that while you smoke crack. Nobody wanted to see any of that. Shelley, what are your thoughts on what he did there?
First of all, I don't know if they're more upset about the poop or the crown. Okay, they want to play this, you know, they're so offended. I don't know which one they're more upset about. Probably the crown than the poop, because they actually live in poop. They breathe poop. I mean, it comes out their nose. It comes out their pores, right? I mean, I don't know what's worse, poop or telling people they should be dead, murdering people, assassinating people. Which one is worse? A meme or an AI generated image of President Trump shitting on these people, on their shitty people that they are, many of them, and the things that they spew and that they want to happen to outside. I don't give a damn. I wish he gets another AI one with several planes and just let it go. Just let it go all over them. Yes, he should. And let me add this. Biden, your father, Hunter, he pardoned his own brother and I think his sister-in-law. I mean, what difference is he pardoned many people? Some people I didn't agree with the President Trump pardon, okay, but they get to do it nevertheless. Look, we still don't know who was, snorting the cocaine in the White House. Can we have that first before you start running your damn mouth? I mean, get a grip. Get a grip. Take your little wins, your little W's, and go ahead and live your little snorting cocaine, doped up, pedophile, whatever life. Just go. Just go. Just go.
Yeah. Yeah. Nicole, welcome back. I know we had some technical difficulties.
Thank you. Listen, that's no ordinary 20-something-year-old that he's dropping shit on. Listen, that supposed kid is a full-fledged gay man with a full-fledged gay boyfriend doing adult things with the money that he makes on the internet, trolling Republicans and conservatives as a profession. He's lucky that the shit just got dropped on him. If I were behind that AI, it would have been actual bullets, just rockets, red glare, maybe a screaming eagle with a fire behind it. I would have went full on Americana, but it was all done in good fun. Here's the thing about Democrats. They can talk a lot of shit, but clearly they can't take it. If we didn't learn anything from this video, is they're not prepared for the level of troll that President Trump and his administration brings to that White House. Again, like I said before, she takes the cuffs off that press office. You ain't seen nothing yet. They are going to have this nation rolling with the information that they can generate within a few minutes. This is the difference between having a youthful press secretary in her office and then having Corinne Jean-Pierre, who was working on building her profile instead of driving the nation. This is the difference. When you've got a young person, they do this AI thing day in and day out, and it's not illegal. It's very funny. Some Democrats have tried to use it against Trump, not quite as successfully, but I thought it was hilarious. I thought it was funny when the nation needed a laugh. A lot of people thought it was funny, including some Democrats.
Yeah, and then you have Hunter Biden talking about how President Trump really wants to be a king, with the king with himself wearing the crown, the cartoons of him wearing the crown, and the AI with him wearing the crown. And, of course, this can be this can't be further from the truth. And I thought that we came across this clip. This is Megan McGlover. She's been on the show before, and she really had a great response to that. These Democrats saying, oh, President Trump wants to be a king. Take a look at this next clip. This is Megan McGlover.
Now you're threatening us, talking about if they get rid of the SNAP, but I'm going to start stealing. Ain't that what you been doing? You been stealing, You been stealing. We're not gonna talk about every time I turn around and look on the internet, y'all stealing in Walmart, you're stealing in Walgreens, you're stealing in CVS, you're stealing everywhere. What is you talking about? That ain't no threat. You've been stealing. Let's not talk about the fact that most of y'all got Section 8 vouchers that are not even yours. You got 2, 3, 4 generations of Section 8 vouchers that you're using for somebody who ain't been in that Section 8 house in probably 10, 15 years. So let's not talk about, oh, you gonna start stealing. You done made a whole career out of stealing. At this point, you should be in retirement. You should be looking to retire from your stealing career. Ain't nobody afraid of you talking about you gonna go steal. And while you're stealing, please get you a loaf of bread. Oh my God, today, Boshando. Please get you a loaf of bread, and some bologna, and a little bit of cheese, mayo, Miracle Whip, whatever the hell it is that you like. Since you're stealing, steal you some Dijon mustard, and make you a sandwich and shut the hell up. Because what I want you to hear me say is nobody give a damn about your threats about you stealing something. We used to your fucking ass stealing. Then you mad because we don't want illegal people also over here stealing. We got to deal with your stealing, and we got to deal with illegal people stealing too. What the hell is going on here? We sick of this shit.
Yeah.
That's my girl.
Yeah, that was the wrong one. Here it is.
What's the reason? The no.
Oops. Oh. So we may have technical.
Now wait a minute. What's this no kings thing about again? What's the reason? The no kings thing. What is the reason for the protest? Because you don't want dictatorship, and you don't want somebody to force something upon you that you don't agree with. Is that that's what it's for, right? Come here. Come in close. Come here. Did you guys vote for Kamala in the primaries? Or was she just forced upon you?
Absolutely.
Like a dictatorship. Mm-hmm. like a kingship. Was because I don't want you to be embarrassed. I don't want you to be embarrassed. Was Kamala Listen. Was Kamala voted in through the wonderful democracy that you people are protesting about right now?
Nope.
Huh? Or was she thrusted upon you? Huh? That's my question. That's what I'm asking you. See, what's good for the goose is obviously not good for the gander with you people. And y'all, you know what? Keep protesting, because it's helping with your steps. It's helping with your steps. And as someone who really enjoys working out in health, I want you to stay outside, because that's probably the only exercise you're going to be getting. That's the only exercise you're going to be getting. So just stay outside, keep protesting, get you some vitamin D with the sun and everything, and then just do that thing. Just do that. That's fine. I don't have no problem with it. Keep going, ho.
There we are. Yeah. So that was Megan McGlover. We've had her on the show before, and she was so right. She was so right. These people are out here protesting, and they're protesting President Trump, who is actually doing exactly what he campaigned that he would do, and he was voted in to do. Nicole?
They didn't believe it. They literally did not believe that shit stinks. I'm going to keep going with the puns because I really love the poop dropping out of the plane, right? But they really did not believe it. They didn't believe it in his first term when he was running for office. They said he could never right the economy, that, Wall Street wouldn't follow him. He was unproven, untested, and not fit to serve. Look at us now. He built the best economy. Look at us now. He's the peace president. He's brought peace everywhere. He brought peace to the Middle East. Now, is it a sketchy peace? Make no mistake. Absolutely. But it's more peace than they've known in generations. Exactly. This man clearly has a love for people, whether they're Americans, Europeans, Israelis. It makes him no difference. Of course, he loves us especially because he is one of us. But these people have got to get their lives together. This TDS is killing them. And every time they double down on their hate of Trump, he does something magnificent that makes the rest of the world love him. And this is why they're losing the battle. They got to find another strategy other than we hate Donald Trump. It's just not going to work.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Shelly, and what did you think of the first video that we played of Megan? Can you explain what she was talking about there?
Yes. Okay. Yeah, I love Megan. I laugh every time I watch her content. She was talking about these, I hate to say it, these black people, bliggers, getting on social media talking about, since their EBT cards have been cut and or reduced, they're going to start stealing. They're going to go into Walmart. They're going to go into their local stores that supply the community with the items that they need. But they're going to go there and steal whatever they want until their little hearts is content. So she's saying, you've been stealing all along. You ain't surprising nobody, okay? So this is nothing new. This is your career. You should be retired, like she said. But these bliggers, again, many of the people that I've seen look like us, okay? Maybe not you, Nicole. You're a little bit lighter than KJ and myself. But
wait, what kind of colorism BS is this?
But, I know you've been black all your life, but these people have no shame. They're not embarrassed. They get on camera telling you that they are going to steal X, Y, and Z from whatever location, and they think that they have a right to do it. I mean, they've been doing it all along. I guess in their minds they do. They're twisted thinking. They do have this right, and this is what they're going to do. So, FYI, your communities again, where these bliggers are, they're going to be stealing, ramaging through all the things, carte blanche, filling up the carts and running out the stores. Then watch the Walgreens and the Walmarts and the CVSs. They're going to continue to close.
Yeah. Nicole, how did we get here, though? I've seen the videos like Megan was talking about how, these people who are getting social services, they're upset and afraid that the social services are going to be cut due to the shutdown. And they are actually out here saying that they are going to start stealing. How did we get here? Where is the mindset that creates this type of thinking?
So it started in 1950, right? So let's roll the wheel all the way back when people were free and independent and had dignity. Whether you dug a ditch, whether you were the guy who cut the grass or the woman who cleaned the homes or the offices, there was dignity in work. And it was a big thing to have a job, and a big thing to have a man bring a paycheck home and say, listen, we're going to have potatoes this week because daddy got a few extra hours. There was dignity in our community. Fast forward to today, not much dignity left. The women are half naked, and what's worse, the men are dressing in women's clothes, and they even more naked than the original women. Let's do that. We have lost our damn minds. We really have. As a culture, we are misguided. We put all of our energy into people who can run fast, jump high, and make words rhyme, but we ignore scientists and doctors and people who are leading the charge culturally, with art. Not that music's not art, but y'all know what I'm talking about. That mumble rap has got to go. It's the scourge of the earth. It's the scourge of the earth. Art, books, museums, all of those things don't mean anything to us anymore. It's about what you can get, and if you can get it as cheap as you can. When able-bodied men are all over the internet crying about food stamps, like it's some sort of cultural reparation, we've lost the battle. You're an able-bodied man. The last thing you should be looking for is a handout, but they have gotten so accustomed to Uncle Sam being a damn daddy. Now that daddy says it's time for you to grow up, they're not having it. But I'm going to tell you, there's some communities in this country where you can't run out the door with a basket full of groceries and have that turn out well for you. That's not how that works. So they better move to blue states where California, Maryland, where they're going to let you do that, but they'll just close the store and you'll have to go to a neighboring community, and then they'll close that store, and then you'll have to go to another neighboring community. We're doing it to ourselves. We're not being oppressed. There is no white boogeyman. The only people with sheets that are haunting us are radical Islamists. This is self-inflicted. We have got to grow up as a culture, or we'll always be sucking from the tit of Uncle Sam.
Yeah. But let me just say this, because I think something really switched within the last 20 years or so. Now, we do know, of course, the welfare state started back in the 50s, but even in the 80s and 90s, even you had that culture of drug dealers and things. They, which I don't condone drug dealing. I don't condone any of that at all. But even the old school drug dealer had the mindset of hard work. So they would say, you know what? I got to get out here and I got to hustle. I got to put in this time. It's about growing a business. It's about doing it and getting out. They still, even though it was illegal and it was an awful, industry that tore and ripped our community apart, but it was still an idea of, I got to work. It's whether it's a terrible job, but I got to work. But now we have these younger generations, many in the Black community, who don't even feel like they have to work. Like you mentioned, there's no dignity in work. Shelly, what happened? Do you agree there? And if so, what do you think is the key there?
Absolutely, KJ. I recount stories a lot of times, even in the 70s and 80s, walking by the church. The drug addicts and the winos would not even sit on the church steps when it was closed to drink and do that. They would not. And they would also tell us, y'all don't do what I'm doing. Y'all know better. Go get your education, go do things like that. So I totally understand what you're saying. What I think has happened is that with each generation, something else is lost, right? If something is not purposefully transmitted, the values, the work ethic, whatever that means, if they're not purposely taught, purposely drilled in, purposely, I don't know, a replay, if you will, they lose that. Freedom, we're only, what does it say, a generation or two away from losing freedom with every generation. And if the generations are not taught those values of the previous generations, well, then you're going to keep losing. It's like the law of diminishing returns, almost like a Laffer curve. At the other end of that bell curve, you start getting diminishing returns. And not only are we getting diminishing returns, what's going to replace that? Because nature abhors a vacuum, what's going to replace it are worse values, if you will. That's what we're seeing right now.
Yeah, a la New York City, and fully embrace. I mean, at this point, New York is tongue-kissing socialism. They're loving every minute of socialism, and they're like, "Ooh, it's going to be free for me, free." There's nothing free. And these are adults, and this is what makes me crazy. These are people who've been on the planet long enough to know nothing's free. Nothing's free. Somewhere, someone along the chain is paying for it. Somewhere along the line, someone is working an extra hour, an extra job or two to pay enough taxes into the system to help the infirmed, the sick, and small children, right? We're all in for that. As Americans, that's who we are. We are philanthropic through and through. However, you're an able-bodied man. There is not one reason. You're an able-bodied woman with no children. Tell me why you're not out here hustling.
Nicole, and we have a lot of people in the chat who cannot believe that there are men who are getting food stamps and social services. Take a look at this next clip, folks. This is a musician. He is a singer. His name's Kevin McCall. He was pretty big in the 2000s. He actually wrote a couple songs, I believe, for Chris Brown. He also was an R&B, I believe, singer or rapper of some kind. And he's in an interview right now talking about how he's fallen on hard times. This is clip 10.
Chris Brown called me and like, look, this song is going real good. We about to do the video. I only got a check for $10,000 at that time. So you know what I did with that? I spent that up in no day. Tried to get a whip, some dumb shit. But when I finally got a check from Deuces that was over 6 figures, I opened that mug up. It was like, I got the mail like I always used to. I used to write songs in my grandmother's driveway. I'm sitting in my auntie's Jaguar because I didn't have my own car at the time. And so since I used to be pulling up with the celebrities, the best I could do was my supposed rich auntie at the time. She was a nurse. I was in her car. So got the check, opened it with my cousin, and I ain't never seen nothing over $10,000 in my life. So when I saw 100 and something thousand, I'm like, I looked at my cousin, I just closed it because I'm like, what am I gonna do? I'm in the hood, I need to start hiding this shit. I got scared. I ain't even get happy. I'm like, where I'm gonna put this shit? $100,000, what do I do? Like, and I didn't tell nobody. I kept it a secret because honestly, I had never seen that much money, didn't know what to do with it. Didn't know what to start.
I got an EBT card. And this is at Breezy Bowl and made 90 whatever the million. And it say KKKKK Max. Can I get 25,000 for them four songs I owe you, bro? I just want to leave, bro.
Leading up to who he is.
I'm not even tripping though. I got an EBT card, my nigga. Like, what the fuck? I can't even get nothing, bro, man. Y'all want to see me cry in here, so y'all can think I'm a bro. That ain't fair, man.
Hey,
I'm on EBT, bro.
Hey.
That's why.
Bro. Hey, look, bro.
I'm down, bro. I'm on EBT, Smack. Look. Say my name, bro. That shit is better. I had to go up in that by my face with a mask, like COVID, bro.
All right. So the beginning of that video was Kevin McCall several years ago when he had gotten his checks. As he mentioned, he got paid $10,000 for one song he produced or co-wrote on Chris Brown's album or one of his albums. And then he talked about a second check for over $100,000 he got paid for writing or producing on one of Chris Brown's albums. Fast forward to today was the second part of that clip. He was doing an interview and talking about he is receiving EBT benefits. Shelly, what are your thoughts?
When I first started, I don't even know him. Thank you for that history. But I thought he was joking at first. I thought this was like a spoof until I saw the guys in the background saying, okay, yo, get it, whatever. All right, yo. But let me tell you, he's not ashamed. I don't know if he's ashamed, if whatever the case may be, but it's like nails on a chalkboard to me. When I see grown folk, men in particular, some women who I know in the grocery store line with me pull out the EBT card, and then they'll pull out a Visa to pay for the non-perishables, with the cash or whatever. It just sends shivers up my spine, because I know these people they are just abusing the system. This is why I want welfare to stop for everybody. This is why I want it to stop, except for a very, very, very minuscule population in our country, Americans only. But the shame has gone, the embarrassment, and not only that, the idea that, okay, this should only be temporary. It should not be a lifelong goal. This should not be something I want to pass to my generations, my nieces. It shouldn't be something I want them to be proud of and trying to obtain one, like it's a status symbol. It's disgusting. It's just angering. That's how I can put it. That's the best way I can find right now. It's angering.
Yeah. Nicole, again, Kevin McCall, he's living in California. He was in California when he's still there now. He was he was making some really good money. Now he's on EBT, and the shame is gone, because the shame would have been for them not to have applied. Okay. But for him to have applied for the EBT, he's on it. He said that his name, he's getting benefits. He's not disabled. He looks like he can work to me. And now he's on an interview talking about it. What's going on, Nicole?
This is your typical case of a whiner. This is somebody who had the opportunity of a lifetime and squandered it, right? What was interesting is in the first part, when he talked about, as he said, his rich aunt, she's a nurse. She has a Jaguar. How do you think she got that car? Let me tell you, them 7 to 7s and 7 to 11s and back at 3 and finish at 11 again. That's how she got that work, right? So I'm blessed. I have a bunch of nephews. I have one in particular that works in the record industry. He writes, he produces, and guess what else he does? Works. Because he has a wife and a child and a mortgage and 2 car notes and a tortoise that likes to eat. You know what I mean? So you have to figure your life out. EBT, as a grown man, you should be crying. You should be hiding your face. And them guys behind you should be clowning you every single day of the week. Because instead of finding every little piece of damn leather you have laying around the house to be on this damn podcast, you should have been a greeter at Walmart. You should have been an Amazon delivery driver. You could work for UPS, FedEx, the Postal Service. I'm just naming people that I know have jobs open, because on my drive around the Beltway coming home, all of their trucks on the back say, now hiring. We're hiring. Call this number, scan this code. But he thinks he's too good for that work. So rather than put his nose to the grindstone and do what men all over this nation do, work, he'd rather sit on a podcast and beg Chris Brown for money. You talk about shame, bring shame back for that. Bring shame back for that. You wrote one song, maybe 2-3 songs for Chris, but honey, you haven't sold out not one stadium. You haven't danced like your life depended on it. You haven't gone through all the things that young man has put up with in order to make his money.
Right.
That's what he was paid for those songs, right? It sounds like he was paid for those songs.
6 figures.
Right.
6 figures for these songs. But this is the thing. What did you do with those 6 figures? Did you invest it? No. He probably spent it on jewelry and girls.
Right.
It's that lifestyle. Show me a rich rapper at the age of 65.
Now, very few. But we have the chat is sounding off on this. You guys are going wild. So let's get it. We have some super chatters here. Tijuana Border Jumper with a $10 super chat says, wow, she laid it on the line. Mm-hmm. Hey, ladies, Nicole, KJ, Shelly. Thank you so much, Tijuana.
Hey, Tijuana.
All right, AT with the $5 super chat says, don't hate me, but the grab her by the P line will never sit right with me. I've grown to appreciate Trump, but that's my ick. Poop vid still had me. All right. No, we're not hating you. That's some people feel that way. You know?
Yeah, absolutely.
So and then let's clarify, because he didn't say that to the public. Is that correct? This was before
it was a private conversation, and it was released. The tape was released.
Right. Okay. Kung Fu CJ with the $5 super chat says, KJ Prince from CT show gets $4,000 in benefits a month. Wow. I don't really know who he is, but
why are you telling people's business?
I guess he told it. This guy
I know. I don't know. I'm just teasing.
Right.
I was watching.
Wow. Okay. Yeah,
that dude really does. He really does get those benefits, and it is abhorrent. It really is.
Yeah. I mean, folks, the system is corrupt. I mean, it's jacked. It's defrauded. And this is what President Trump has been trying to fix. And the Democrats are pushing back against it. So much so they're pushing back against the corrections. They're pushing back against keeping illegals, removing, I should say, illegals from social services. They're pushing back against making it something where, if you work, you need to look for work while you're on it. It's temporary, and it can't be used for healthy people. So this is what they want. And that takes us to Jen Psaki. So these people are just disgusting. They don't like family. They hate marriage. They hate hard work. And Jen Psaki pretty much said that in this, at least displayed it in this next clip, where she attacks JD Vance's marriage and his wife, Usha Vance. This is clip 2. Take a look.
I think the little Manchurian candidate, JD Vance, wants to be president more than anything else. Yeah. I always wonder what's going on in the mind of his wife. Like, are you okay? Please blink 4 times.
Yes.
We'll come over here. We'll save you. And that he's willing to do anything to get there. And that your whole iteration you just outlined, I mean, he's scarier in certain ways.
He's smarter
in some ways. And he's young.
Yeah. And ambitious.
And agile in the sense that he is a chameleon who makes himself into whatever he thinks the audience wants to hear from him. Now, what's also true, though, is JD Vance is not, he's in some ways goodish on paper if you like what he believes in. I don't know. But I don't know that he can take the whole movement with him.
No way.
I don't think so either.
There's no riz.
It's got no riz, right?
None.
And he just is a little odd. And so Trump's odd in a different way. So I'm skeptical of that. So yeah, he's got to, I mean, everything going on right now, and I think we have to be very clear-eyed about this, is about trying to manipulate the public around elections.
Wow. These people are such hypocrites. You want to talk about somebody who wanted the office of presidency so bad that they were pretty much not there in the mind, physically, mentally? President Biden. I mean, did she say any of these things about Jill Biden, about herself, about their entire White House staff and cabinet advisors who covered it up, all to keep him in office? And he actually had him try to run again. I mean, Shelly, what are your thoughts on what she said?
These people are so smug and arrogant. They don't even realize that they accuse others of what they're doing. That's number one. Number two, I ain't got nothing to hide. I talk about people. I make fun of people on here. We laugh and have fun. But I'm not Jen Psaki pretending that I don't. Okay, I'm not a politician pretending that I never do those things and things like that. These are the same people who will tell you, women, you can't say things like women and you can't do that, can't say that. But they do the exact same things to the people that they don't like, particularly for political reasons. Okay, that's it. Just because somebody's on the opposite side of them, they will call anybody names, mock them, whatever the case may be. But these are the people you can't, you have to be phobic this and phobic that. If you say one thing that they don't like, they will label you as quickly as they can. They are phony. They are fake. Corinne Jean-Pierre, Jen Psaki, all of these people, they wanted to still be in the limelight. They're going to cover for Biden and that administration until the cows come home. Maybe until the cows poop on them like President Trump did. But they're going to keep covering no matter what. They're just not serious. They don't even look at themselves. They can't even admit their own failing. They do the same thing that they accuse us of doing.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Yeah. Nicole, what are your thoughts on what she said about JD Vance and his wife?
Well, first of all, these 3 Botox Bettys sitting around talking shit. I've had it with all of these women. Jen Psaki would kill her firstborn child, drink its blood over ice to get anywhere near the White House. It takes a certain personality type to rise that high in politics. You have to love nothing more than the goal of being powerful. Every woman sitting at that table, they would do what they had to do to get themselves back in the White House. Look at what they did. Shelley's right. They covered up for a man who clearly had dementia. Clearly. You talk about pooping pants. Hello. Him in France? Ring a bell, anybody? He tripped up the steps. Not down the steps, up the steps. The gaffes, the Easter Bunny chasing him around the Rose Garden. I mean, there were so many clear indicators that even lay people who've never seen someone more demented than maybe a grandma or grandpa in their family was looking at him going, there's something quite not right. But these women pimped him out like a $2 whore to the rest of the world and said, oh, don't look. No, he can't form a sentence, but this is the president of the United States. He can't ride a bike, but this is the president of the United States. We just feed him ice cream cones and shoot him up with Botox and stand him in front of a camera and tell him what to say. She's got a lot of nerve talking about Usha. The reason why they're afraid of JD, not only his youth, not only his talking points and the way that he comes across crystal clear to the American public, he checks all of their boxes. Mm-hmm. He married someone of a different race. That's a plus for them, right? He's Harvard educated. Check that box too. Yep. Served his time in the U.S. Senate. Check that box too. Listen, he meets all of their criterion. And that's what scares them because they can't say he's uneducated. They can't say that he's a racist. He's got little brown children running around his house. Mm-hmm. So he takes away all of their talking points. They ought to be afraid. If they think JD scares them, Marco Rubio should keep them up at night. Mm.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, my little Tony Montana. I love him. I love him. Woo! Yes, he is really surprised.
Yes, I love him in this role. I think I want him to stay secretary. I think I want him to stay that way.
Yeah. Well, I hope he does good, after this administration does something else. But yeah, he's on fire. And we got a really nice bench coming up on 2028. I'll be happy with any of them running. So yeah, you're exactly right. And talk about hatchet face family. Okay, she had the nerve to ridicule and create this narrative that nobody, I don't know where she got this from. Is his wife okay? I mean, are you serious, lady? Nobody, there's never been any issues. We've never heard any articles, no news about Usha having issues, anything like that. Is she okay? Are you okay? And we have a photo of her hatchet face family here. Let's post it here. And yeah, that's her husband there standing next to Jill Biden. And honestly, I want to Candace Owens him. I want to know if he's really a man. Because he could go both ways. So again, I mean, if she wants to go low, we can go there.
That's what I'm saying. At least we admit that we do. I mean, you know how they try to cover it up. Let me say two quick things, KJ, please.
Yes.
Usha Vance and Melania Trump. These women, not only are they beautiful, they are brilliant women. They will run circles around the Jen Psakis and the Corinne Jean-Pierres of the world. Usha Vance is an attorney in her own right. Melania Trump speaks what, 5-6 languages? Hell, some of us don't even have the English language down pat yet. She speaks 5 or 6 of them, okay? I mean, come on. This woman is an immigrant, and I mean, beautiful women in their own right, but they would run. That's what the problem is. They are ultimately jealous.
Yeah, you're right. You're right, Shelley. You are absolutely right. But these are the women of the Democrat Party. You know, a bunch of DEI picks, Karen, white women, you know, radical, neurotic. These are the women. And what they do is, as you all say multiple times, they reflect or push out what their issues on everyone else. Okay. We have some super chatters here, folks. Thank you all so much. Let's see here.
Thank you.
All right. We have MT with the $5 super chat. Says thoughts on Paul and Gracia. Group chat was one thing, but he was going to be special counsel. At some point, the Nazism, racism needs to be addressed. So he is the guy out of what, Maine? Was it? Is this the guy, Paul Gracia, that was running and he had the Nazi tattoo on his chest?
No. He made some comments. He made some comments.
This was a Trump nominee. Yeah.
He removed himself. He not resigned. What do you call it? He removed himself from the nomination process, basically.
Okay, what do you ladies think then? I might got the wrong name then.
I think he did the right thing because he was not going to have much support, much Republican support. I forget what state he's from, but he was not going to have much Republican support because of these comments. And I think there were some text messages or from before he had written, they came to fore. And he basically acknowledged that, yes, he had written them.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
the
litmus test that we have in the Republican Party is not the same testing that they use for the Democrats. You know, the standards very much different. However, I think MT is right. This is a thing that we've been grappling with. I will say this again, and I've been saying it for the last 12 years. Hear me very clearly. The GOP is a big tent. It is a big tent. We have all kind of people under the tent. Not everybody can be up front, and he did the right thing. He's not fit to be up front. He may be well educated. He may have been a good choice for the job. But when you say things in a chat or in text messages, you ought to know that they're going to come back. They're going to come back and bite you in the butt hard. Whenever you get to a place where people don't think you belong, when you pass up your so-called friends, they're going to leak the chat. This again goes back to my number one golden rule. Don't put it in the chat. Don't put it in the text unless you're willing to say it to a camera with your grandma watching. Do not do it to yourself. If you ever think you're going to run for office, start scrubbing your socials now, because of the world we live in. At once upon a time, if you were on an elevator and farted and somebody smelt it, there's going to be somebody who comes out and says she's gross. She did this on an elevator, and there are going to be hundreds of thousands of people in the opposite party who are going to rip your life to shreds for it. Unfortunately, this is the state of American politics. We can do better. They just choose not to.
Yeah, and New York Post is reporting, you know, he has already withdrawn his nomination, but allegedly he texted a group chat of other Republicans saying he has a, quote, Nazi streak, end quote, and that the Reverend Martin Luther King Jr. holiday should be tossed into the seventh circle of hell, is what he said. So that's all I have here as far as what he mentioned. But that was a good response, Nicole, what you said.
I have one more point to make, KJ. This is how we end up with, what's his name, Swalwell or Swally, whatever the guy's name, with the red hat and running for mayor of New York City.
Sliwa.
Yeah, Sliwa.
This is how the GOP ends up with that candidate. Not that he's not a fine Republican. I'm sure he is a fine man and a fine Republican. Politician, he is not. Politician, he is not. But the best and the brightest will not run when you take a look at things that they've said privately to their friends, to coworkers, and use it against them like a sledgehammer, this is how we end up with bottom of the barrel candidates. No shade. I'm just saying that this guy cannot amass enough votes to come in third in this race of 3 people. I mean, I'm just going to be frank with you. When people have the choice between the red beret and socialism, and people are picking socialism, it tells you that your candidate quality, and there are plenty of Republicans in New York. Why aren't they running? Because people take a fine-tooth comb to your personal life. And if you have children, you have to weigh being a parent to your child and your child living in this world where people are going to harass them online. You know, I've been doxxed 3 times. 3 times. You have to make a call. Is it worth it? And the best and the brightest are going to tell you no. They'll move on to other things. They'll move on to other things, and then you end up with a red beret who's getting his ass kicked by a socialist. This is how we get here.
Yeah, yeah. Speaking of how we get here, how did the state of the Black community get to where we are today? And one person who is going viral talking about it is Chad O. Jackson. All right. So Chad O. Jackson, he is a researcher, documentarian. He was very critical on the not Uncle Tom's Cabin, but what is it, Shelley? The documentary he did.
Oh, the documentary Uncle Tom.
Oh, was it Uncle Tom? Yeah.
Yeah, it was Uncle Tom's Cabin.
Yeah, Uncle Tom. Yeah, Uncle Tom.
Okay. I was like, yeah,
I was like, wait a minute. Okay.
Yeah, because I was like, there's another one. Look.
Right,
Yeah.
no, he's Uncle Tom. And he has another documentary coming out in regards to Martin Luther King Jr. And what he says are he was very heavily involved in communism. So he has a video out where he talks about what has been one of the major downfalls of the Black community. This is clip 3. Take a look.
Sorry to be so brash, but I have to call a thing a thing. When you look at Black culture, who leads it? Women. That's actually a curse. That's not a blessing. That's a curse. In the Bible, in Isaiah, it talks about how you will be persecuted by children. What's going on in the inner cities? Who are the gangs made up mostly of? Children. And women will lead you. It's not a blessing, that's a curse. Meanwhile, Roland Martin's walking around with a shirt that says vote like a Black woman. That's crazy to me. Wearing a shirt that says vote like a Black woman. Look, you dummy. The reason why Black women vote predominantly for a party and for a philosophy that promises handouts, that promises to take care of you, that promises to be your big brother, is because they can't depend on the men in their home. And so it's because you fell asleep at the gate that your women feel that they must now vote for a politician to take care of them.
You ain't done more for Black people than LBJ did, than Bill Clinton did, than FDR did.
For you, a grown man, to wear a shirt that says vote like a Black woman is like saying, I don't want to be a man. I don't want to take responsibility and rise to the occasion. I want for the government to take care of me. That's what you're saying when you wear a shirt that says vote like a Black woman, who doesn't feel protected, who doesn't feel like her man can take care of her and of the family. That's what you are saying when you say vote like a Black woman, the nerve of you.
All right. All right. He went in. Ladies, want to get your thoughts on what he said. Start with you, Nicole.
Listen, I loved everything that he said. It's everything we've been saying, right? Mm-hmm. But coming out of a male mouth. And he left off the part about putting balls in your handbag, but we got the gist. I loved everything about what he had to say. And you guys know I pay a lot of attention to body language and backgrounds. He's got that big picture of Benjamin Banneker behind him. You know, that speaks to who he is as a person. He was a builder, right? A mathematician, a surveyor, you know, a gentleman scholar, if you will, just like Chad. I love what he had to say. And I think he's right, especially about Uncle Roro and vote like a Black woman. Yeah, vote like me, like this Black Republican Christian woman. Vote like me. Don't vote like them Democrat women. I think it's simping, and he was very kind not to use that word, but I think Roland Martin has come to a point in his life where he'll say anything for clicks and likes. And he's really been emasculated. And it's a shame and it's sad, but it is what it is. We've got to save the ones we can, because he's right. Our youth are going the way of the toilet bowl. They really are. Someone's got to stand up, and hopefully it'll be Black men. I'd love to see it.
Yeah. Yeah, folks, for you who may not know who Roland Martin is, he is a Black activist, very big in the Democrat Party. I believe he was part of the Congressional Black Caucus for a while, or one of those groups he's been in part of. Well, back in 2024, June of 2024, he posted a selfie on Instagram, grinning in his studio with this white tee on that said "Vote like a Black woman." So he has been very vocal of his support of Kamala Harris, of all of these, Black Democrats, particularly women, female Black Democrats. So Shelley, what did you think of what Chattel Jackson said there?
Auntie Roro has that shirt on because Auntie Roro, he is a woman. He is a Black woman. He is a Black. He doesn't have any balls to put in a purse, Nicole. He has the pussy, and he wants it to be grabbed. He wants his pussy grabbed. He makes me sick. He's an embarrassment. He's been wearing Black women, whatever, get up, dashikis, dresses, I should say, dancing in them. And don't forget, he had that oops with the naked man on his camera or something that time he was on live or something, right? But look, Auntie Roro has been doing it. He is a woman. He's one of the people in the Black community that he portrays himself that he's all Black and he wants everything to be about Black people and help Black people. He's full of shit. That's what he's full of. I'm going to use KJ's word. He's a grifter. Okay, that's how he gets his clicks and his money, by grifting Black people and telling them what they really don't need to hear and encouraging them to do more of it. Beg, borrow, and steal from the government, from the white man, defund the police so your communities can still go to hell in a handbasket. He is a woman. He wants his pussy grabbed. I hope somebody grabs it myself.
Yeah, I mean... What he is what we've seen time and time again. He's a communist infiltrator. Mm-hmm. He is one that has been planted within the Black community to so-called lead them right to hell. Lead them right to the red pits of hell, the red Communist Party. And we've seen this throughout the Democrat Party. He tries to grift on the idea of spirituality, and he's really into with the churches and the so-called high society of the Black community. These Greek society, the sororities and the fraternities and all of that type of stuff. The HBCUs. He is like the face of all of that. Him and so many others. And what we've seen is the fruit of this has been awful. We've seen high crime in these communities. The young people have no purpose, and because they have no purpose, we see that they've gone to a life of degeneracy and crime and poor education. All of this has been a result of people like him. But is it as Chattel Jackson said? Is this a result of a culture that's led by Black women, Nicole?
Yes. 100% yes. 100% yes. This is not the way it's supposed to be. From my perspective, God's grace among our community, the favor on our community is tremendous. Because for children to grow up in homes where there is no man, where there is no leader, right? Don't get me wrong, moms do the best thing they can, do all the right things they can, but women will never be men, and men will never be women, and we lead differently, and we bring different things into the household. I will tell you, there are 6 of us. We're the Black Brady Bunch, 3 boys and 3 girls. We would try to give my mom a fit on a Saturday. I mean, just give her in and out the house. Because, in a black household, you can't be in and out the house. You either in or you out. You can't run back and forth. Oh, we was running and ripping and this and that. All it would take is for my mother to call my dad on the phone. Just the sound of his voice made everybody kind of freeze and do what they're supposed to do. Women, no matter how much we rant and rave, will never have that ability with children to make them stop in their tracks and rethink what they're trying to do. Men are supposed to be heads of the household. Hate me if you want to, but I love a traditional man. I love a traditional family. I don't ever consider myself the head of my household, right? There's no place for that biblically. It just isn't. Now, can I be the head of the household? Do I make enough money to be the head of the household? Do I have the skill set to be the head of the household? Yes. But is that what God called me to be? Without question, not. And Chad is right. Women have a place, men have a place. We talked about this last week when we were talking about Tiffany Cross. This is a woman who's more man than any man she's ever met. She's got more balls in her bag. Even the poor men that were on the set with her were covering up their junk when they were sitting next to her. She is absolutely a ball taker. She's the head of her household, and her husband does what he's told to do. Unfortunately, children suffer when that happens. And that's what Chad's talking about. We're doing it to ourselves. We're absolutely doing it to ourselves.
Yeah. Yeah. Shelley, what are your thoughts on this?
Yeah, I think I absolutely. I think, the out of wedlock birth rate. And this is the thing that I'm saying we collectively, we keep encouraging it. Right. And again, we encourage it. We see these young women who don't have fathers. Where are the guys? I don't know where they are. But when a man is not in the household, particularly raising his own children, then you're going to have all kinds of chaos overall. You're right, Nicole. Moms can do the best that they can. Absolutely. I'm not poo-pooing anyone who raised a single mother. That's not what I'm doing. But that's not the best. That's not the best plan, particularly not for that child, not for the mother either, not for that family. And another thing, when men are not there in the families and the communities, well, it used to be, even when there was a single mother for whatever circumstance, single from the beginning, maybe a widow, abandonment, divorce, whatever, there were enough men in the community to step in and help to fill in those gaps for that child and for that mother. We don't have that, particularly not in the Black community anymore. We just don't have it. I hope we can get it back to some semblance. We can. I don't know. I'm pessimistic about it. Maybe I'm cynical about it. But those things, again, nature abhors a vacuum. So when that hole is missing, i.e. the man, what do you think is going to be filled in that child's and that family's life? A whole lot of things that would otherwise not be there.
Right.
You remember when we saw that video of those little children in their pajamas robbing the Walgreens, and how very effeminate they were, how they acted like little tiny women. And it was so overwhelming. And then they finally, in the video, brought on the sister. And then you go, this is who they're mimicking. Imagine if they had a male role model, an uncle, a father, a grandfather, to show them what men are supposed to do, how men are supposed to behave. That would change the culture immediately. This is what I say all the time. Listen, I get it. Sometimes relationships don't work out. Sometimes you end up, being a father to a child that you adore with a woman you can't stand, and vice versa. But the child is here now, right? And the child needs both parents to act like the adults you were acting like when you made this baby. Men have got to stand up, especially Black men. Stop running from woman to woman to woman, leaving a trail of children behind you that none of these children know who you are. You can't be, a Christmas and Thanksgiving daddy, a back to school daddy. They need you every day of the week. I mean, come on. And women are
one thing, Nicole, I want to add to that. Not only do the children not know who the father is in this case, many times the children don't even know who they are, because they grow up even more confused about, who's my daddy, why did they have a tremendous sense of abandonment. But I know we can get on that topic later. But yeah, so it's a mess. It can be a mess. Yeah.
And that's where we are, KJ. That's how we got here.
Right.
That's how we got here.
You both are absolutely correct. We have some super chats, folks. Thank you all so much. We're getting to the end of the month. These super chats really help us. They go a long way in helping us produce conservative content. Also, hit that like button as you come in. Hit that like button. That tells YouTube more people need to see this video. All right, we have MT with the $5 super chat. Says, because this stuff doesn't get called out, it ends up creating a lot of situations where people feel like it's okay to send this stuff in a group chat. All right, he's talking about in Grassy. All right, AZ2000 with the $5 super chat says, this show just made my Wednesday. Yay. KJ, Nicole, and Shelly, y'all are rock stars. Thank you. We appreciate you. Absolutely. Well, and both you ladies were spot on, and we know that the Bible warns against role reversal. You know, it warns us about, and it talks about not only effeminate men, but also manly women. And when men reject masculinity and women reject femininity, it's not just a style choice, it's a rebellion against how God designed his image to be reflected on earth. All right. And speaking of these roles, do women belong in combat? This is a video that PragerU has been talking about recently. I guess this is also going along with Pete Hegseth, who, Secretary of War, who has changed the demands or the criteria of combat warriors in the military. And so here is PragerU making an argument that women don't belong in combat. You all sound off in the chat and let us know what you think. This is clip 1.
Women do not belong in combat. I say this as a woman and a soldier. I've seen war firsthand in all its ugliness and brutality. In 2017, I served in the U.S. Army Special Operations Command in Afghanistan. My job was to engage with local women, something my male colleagues were discouraged from doing because of religious and cultural barriers. That access was critical to our mission. I saw up close what our warfighters had to do to succeed, to survive, and to protect civilians. I was as close to combat as you could get, and thank God I didn't get any closer. I'm proud of my military service. There are many roles in the armed forces that women can and should fill, but combat is not one of them. Until recently, it was conventional wisdom not to put women on the front lines. The principle that combat is a male burden has been nearly universal across civilizations. There's an obvious reason for this. Men are, on average, stronger, faster, and more capable of delivering and withstanding extreme violence. That's not a stereotype, it's basic physiology. And common sense tells us a society that places women, the bearers of new life, on the front lines is not prioritizing its future. Yet, in 2015, the Obama administration ordered the full integration of women into all military combat roles, including special operations and mixed-gender infantry units. At the time, many of us in uniform knew this was a mistake, and we had the data to prove it. A U.S. Marine Corps study that same year found that all male units outperformed mixed-gender units in nearly every measurable category. Mixed units had slower times in obstacle courses. Women were 6 times more likely to suffer musculoskeletal injuries than men. Women took longer to evacuate wounded comrades to safety. Where male Marines could do single-person lifts, female Marines often had to revert to 2-person drags.
All right. Lot to unpack there. Want to start off with you, Nicole. Where do you fall on this question? Do you believe women should belong in combat or not?
I actually agree with the Secretary of War on this point. There are standards. If you're capable of meeting the standards in a prolonged kind of way, then this is the job for you. But if you cannot, don't take this as them saying that you can't do anything in the military. There are lots of MOSs that are support that are just as valuable as the actual combat roles. But I will say that the video is very convincing, and they're right. Physiologically, men and women are very different. Thank God, right? Thank God we're not all built like tanks. You know what I mean? But I agree that this girl says that war is ugly. War is damaging. And as women are born nurturers, it goes against our particular skill set to want to end life, to want to be extremely violent, the kind of violence that you need in war. So I think it would take a very particular type of woman, and I think there are few and far between that could meet that standard. But I applaud the Secretary of War for even giving them the opportunity to. So if you're G.I. Jane and you out here and you about that life, there's space for you. But if you are not, there are other MOSs that you can do to help support the effort.
All right. Shelley, what are your thoughts on this? Prager, you did, as Nicole said, bring up some good points. Do you believe women belong in combat?
So again, as a soldier, I am thankful and I guess proud of my service. I'm proud of Michelle's on that Prager video. And in fact, most of the MOSs in the military, most of them are more support, if you will, for the actual mission of going to war to fight for the country or wherever your obligations may lead you. No, I don't. I've always been supportive of meeting the standard, women and men, if you're capable of doing that. But the specific area of combat, I am not for. And I will admit, I'm not for it mostly on the, I'm going to call it the emotional reasons that she gave, right? Because we're not made like that. Women cannot keep up with men on average, in particularly in those combat roles. Even in that video, Michelle said herself, she was as close to combat in engaging with the women over in Afghanistan, and she still didn't see, and she was thankful that she didn't see much more. It could have been even worse than that. So there are very limited roles in combat, I would say, for women to perform or need to, particularly like in those Muslim countries where they won't even talk to the men. But in general, no, I'm not for women in combat. Military, yes, I think I encourage most young people to go into the military, maybe not even to go straight to college, take a what they call a gap year, if you will, actually get a skill, get some grounding, some discipline, things like that, see different parts of the world and learn something if you're in the meantime. So I'm actually more for that mindset. But in combat, no, I think women are a distraction, particularly in combat. The one stat that she mentioned in that was very convincing to me, outside of the physical standards, is that when men and women are together, particularly like that, their natural instincts kicks in for that man to focus on that woman. And not only that, the woman is his comrade in that sense, or his partner, his buddy, or whatever. So it's going to distract him from the killing machine that he needs to be.
I thought that was a very good point she made that I had not even thought about, which is that the closeness and being in combat together, women in combat, it undermines the protection, modesty, and order. So men's protective instincts are compromised. It's unnatural to expect men to suppress their God-given drive to defend women. And so, as she mentioned, that goes into unit cohesion. Somehow that can suffer. You have that whole emotional and sexual dynamic can be a distraction from the mission. And I never thought about that stuff until she brought that up. So I could see why that could be an issue.
I agree. I think it was to have her present the information I thought was powerful, especially with her background. And it does give me pause. And I think back to some of the things that Secretary of War Hegseth have said, where he's changed kind of the language that we use when we describe our military. He doesn't call them soldiers anymore. He calls them war fighters, right? So he's making the point, even the renaming or going back to the old name of the Department of War, when we were the Department of Defense, and now we're back to the Department of War. I think even the renaming of it kind of changes your mind from us being on our back foot to us leading instead of following. And I think that's important. So, kudos to her. And, when I think about my capabilities as a woman, my capabilities as a leader, there's no way I could be in combat. Not because I'm not fierce and all that other stuff. Yeah, got all of that. But emotionally, the toll would be so great. If I lost a partner, my buddy, in combat, I don't know how I would kind of go past that part of my life. So I'm grateful that we don't have to be.
And one thing you brought up, Nicole, that I 100% agree, is the culture. The military culture has changed over these last couple of years, and it's not for the good. You know, people, it used to be, as you mentioned, people were going into the military and they always were thinking about, we may go to war. You know, this is going to be this is something, I'm going in here and I'm going here thinking I may go to war. And it changed, I would say, in I would say maybe the last couple of decades to, oh, I want to go to the military to get an education. Mm-hmm. I want to get the GI Bill to get a house. You know, it was framed around all this other stuff instead of, this is serious. I'm protecting my country. I'm going to war. I may go to war. And so when the conversation started going into more of, I'm doing this to get money, get my education, all this type of stuff, it was weak. The people that started to come in to me over these last couple of years have been sort of weaker to me. The men have become softened, and the women have become hardened. And so again, it's that role reversal that we're seeing, because we've started seeing more women, want to go into the military. And I don't think it was been for love of country, for protecting the country. It's been for more other reasons. And that changes the mission to me. That changes the culture of the military. So when he came in and he said, we're war fighters, he renamed himself the Secretary of War. It really changed the whole dynamic and culture of this thing. I'm not just going in here for my GI Bill, to get my education. I'm going in here because I may go to war.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. I think I mentioned this before. There's a theorem, and I think it's called the Sapir-Whorf theorem. And it's basically, sum it up, and says, in order to change the culture, change the language. Right. Yeah. So that's what Secretary Hegseth did. He's changing the language. Therefore, the culture is going to change, that mindset. And Nicole, to your point about, having that emotional, all those emotional scars, if you will, let me just let everybody know. I know you all know this. Men have emotional scars, particularly from military war experiences too. We don't hear about them a lot, but men carry those emotional wounds as well. I don't know if they do it better than a woman could. I don't know if that's the right word, but it's often unspoken. We tend to think that, the pop culture, they go into fight and they come home and they rah, rah, rah. Yeah, but many men have much emotional baggage from the war and the horrors that they have seen as a part of their military service, which we honor them for.
Listen, I can tell you as a former military spouse, we would have meetings with leadership when our husbands would come home from a particular exercise or deployment. And they would tell you, don't make any sudden movements. Don't make any movements in the dark. If he's screaming in his sleep, don't try to wake him. Just get out of the room. One of my husband's commanders, his wife, because you get used to them not being home. Let's just be honest. If your husband is actually a war fighter, you get used to him not being there. So she was doing what she normally did at night. She got up, didn't turn any lights on. She was prowling around the house. He hit her in the face and broke her nose. And he didn't, it wasn't like he was sleepwalking. He wasn't dreaming. He was just in the mindset of there's someone creeping around in a space where there shouldn't be anybody creeping around. So they do give you these heads up, because these men do carry those scars, and it comes out in a different way than it would be for some women. They compartmentalize it differently than we do. And socially, where you see a man crying, some people are like, what's wrong with you? You better toughen up, get yourself together. You see a woman crying and you have empathy for that person. So as a culture, we don't really allow men to have the necessary feelings to deal openly with PTSD that they may be having from events that have happened during the course of their time as a warfighter. KJ, you're absolutely right. When Pete came in and he started working out with the troops, it's something when people start PTing with you, when your commanders show up to PT with you, but to have the Secretary of War show up to PT with you, I mean, them troops were just gassed. You hear me? He's working out with the Hulk. He's working out with the quote unquote the fat boys so they can get down to weight. That is a tremendous thing in the life of these war fighters. And everybody's so excited. I think about our little Kamari, how excited he is to go serve. He's super excited to go serve. So I love that for America's youth and America's war fighters. Keep up the good work. You know, Pete is doing a great job despite what the Democrats said he would do. I think he's done great.
Yeah. Well, speaking of war, the House Democrats are ramping up their war against immigration enforcement by taking a page from their far left supporters and ratting out the location of ICE agents. Take a look at this. This is clip 11.
I shared this with the mayor. Over the course of the next couple of weeks, the Oversight Committee will be launching on their website a master ICE tracker where we're going to be essentially tracking every single instance that we can verify that the community will be able to send us information on.
Wow. So this is a new doxing operation, is it not, Shelley?
It absolutely is. It's another form of doxing. It's also another form, another method to put ICE agents at risk. This is what this is. These people, I hope you all see this. You see the trends and you see the correlations. They are nothing but they will advocate for death, destruction, all kinds of illegal activities. If people who are here illegally, they will advocate for this. They go to the bat. How they got the government shut down, for that reason, that they want to advocate for illegals, everything. These people are dangerous. They're dangerous. They want us outside. They want us dead. Take them seriously. They want us dead. And they are, not only that, they're using taxpayer money to do it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Nicole, I mean, these ICE agents are just doing their jobs. The majority of the people that they are picking up are criminal illegals. They've done some horrible things. Even in New York City, when they did the deportations on Canal Street, and people were upset about that because they had the video. But when you looked at the rap sheets of these people they picked up, most of them were criminals.
Yeah,
yeah.
Listen, there's an old question that says, "What would you do to hang on to power?" And the Democrats are showing you what they will do to hang on to power. They don't care that your children are being raped, maimed, traded like baseball cards. They don't care. They don't care at all. This is about votes, people. This is not about them having good moral standards or good moral character. This is about votes. If they can keep these people here in this nation and be shown as the people who kept them here in the nation, they think that's going to curry favor with them for all of their days. I keep saying, y'all, brown is the new black. This is what they're doing. As black people wake up, they got to find another source of votes, and they think it's going to be these brown people. This is really unfortunate, though, in the doxing of these ICE agents. But I have a feeling that, there are a couple of people on the conservative side who have some really good IT skills. And very soon that master ICE follower will probably be spammed, trolled fairly hard so that it's unusable. Again, the people who serve our great nation in helping us rid ourselves of illegal aliens do it well. And they deserve our respect. They deserve our protection for doing what we've called them to do. These Democrats, they're acting like these are rogue agents. They're following their mission. You got beef, legislate something different. But as the law stands now, we're going to stand on the law. Round them up and get them out of here.
But I think I don't know how well it's working as far as getting the truth out about these illegals. But there are people. I was talking to someone today who was, saying, "Hey, they're just detaining, they're just deporting regular people. These people aren't criminals." And let's look at this crackdown in New York City on Canal Street between Lafayette and Center Streets. I think it was Tuesday of this week. So they were rounding up illegal vendors who were peddling knockoff designer bags and stolen goods. We all know about Canal Street. There were 9 migrants, the majority of whom were released into the U.S. under the Biden administration. And they actually had some pretty crazy rap sheets. ICE arrested 9 of them. Their criminal histories included robbery, burglary, domestic violence, assaulting law enforcement, counterfeiting, drug trafficking, drug possession, and forgery. Okay, so those were some of the things that were that they had done. So again, these are people who have done some are criminals. But people are just they are still holding on to that narrative that, you know, this is wrong, and these ICE agents are not doing, you know, are taking law-abiding illegals, I guess. And
that's the whole oxymoron of it. You can't be illegal and law-abiding. There's what they're looking for is for America to turn a blind eye to their original crime and say, okay, they were here illegal, but we're just not going to look at that. Okay, so, you know, he's molested children. All right, we're not going to look at that either. You know, he was in prison in his home country, but he's here now. Let's forgive that. We can't afford to do that to the tune of 10 million people. We just cannot. It is not working out to our benefit. And don't get me wrong, I love Canal Street. I like getting a knockoff Hermes bag for $100. Everybody likes Canal Street. You can go check the stitching. It's a beautiful thing. But I also know that they will steal your identity. They will take your ID to check your credit card and take both your ID and your credit card. You won't have a life when they're finished with you. So yeah, bring cash. Let's do that.
I was going to say, that's why you take cash down on Canal Street.
Only bring cash. And listen, get you one of those RFID wallets, because they will scan your stuff while it's in your pocket. Now, you know, when you're dealing with a bunch of counterfeit artists, this is not, you know, America's finest moment. However, I can see where people are saying, you're disturbing our community. You're dragging up people's grandparents, because some people don't know that granddaddy's a drug dealer. Some people don't know that grandma used to be a pedophile. They don't know that about these people, but we do. It's called vetting, and it's about time that USCIS starts standing up on some of this vetting before we say, yes, people can stay. I keep hearing this word in certain circles, amnesty. Amnesty. Democrats are talking about amnesty for everybody who's illegal in this nation staying here. I am against amnesty. Absolutely against amnesty.
Well, before you go on, Nicole, I mean, as you mentioned, we have to get the messaging out, folks. We got to get the truth out about these people, because they are saying that that Trump and ICE are destroying families, are tearing apart people who, you know, are in the process of getting their papers together, and so on and so forth. Take a look at this CNN panel where they go in. Ana Navarro, Abby Phillip, all of them go in on Scott Jennings over these deportations. This is clip 12.
There's not. We've all seen it. And there should be.
You definitively state that they're not being properly trained. Do you know that?
They're shooting dogs. They're shooting dogs in people's that have been locked in people's bathrooms. They're abandoning small children alone in cars while they. No, it's not false. Look it up. Don't just say false. I actually
abandoning small children. They turned the children over to HHS.
There were actually small children abandoned in a highway in a car in Cicero, Illinois.
You make these sweeping statements that they're not training.
Would you like me
they're
to
not
get
training ICE
with,
of course
with
they go
examples
through training.
of what is happening?
Of course they're training them.
Well, they're training them, then they're not learning this stuff. They're definitely violating human rights, Scott.
Well, I disagree with you.
Okay, well.
Well, look, Scott, she had a specific example. It sounds like you were unfamiliar with it.
I'm not aware of her example. Here's what I know.
Okay, so
under Joe Biden, they didn't enforce federal immigration law. Now we do. We're having hundreds of thousands of interactions.
My point is that
things will happen, but she said they are not training them. She said they're not training.
Do you think that trained?
She was saying a specific example, and you said it was false.
She said, quote, they're not training them.
You just
We all
acknowledge that
see
you
it.
don't know what she was
Do you
referring
think?
to.
I don't. I do not know
that
what she's
scooping
talking
up
about.
U.S. citizens without giving them?
I disagree with the generalization that they're scooping up U.S.
There's
citizens.
170 that have been.
Well, there's
scooped
over
up.
500,000 illegal aliens that have been
There's
deported.
little children that have been
1.6
scooped
million
up
have
that are U.S.
self-deported.
citizens.
All right, look.
I know you don't want the law enforced. I get it. You don't have to yell at me. You don't want the law enforced. I understand.
Listen, look. It is true.
Guess what?
That
On
United
this
States
table, black and
citizens
white people can
have
yell.
been detained by ICE without
detained and released.
Yeah,
released.
But
Released.
whether you're detained
After
and released
hours or
after
days of
hours or
being
days,
held?
your rights may still be violated, and that's still an issue that people have a right to be concerned about.
Can I just throw a curveball? The reason why they're often detained, though, is also because of the color of their skin.
Absolutely.
I mean, that's, again, a sweeping blanket general. Do you know of a
Well, we got
specific
data for that.
instance
No,
where
no,
someone,
we got
I mean,
data for that.
honestly.
The answer is
they got data for that.
The answer
I mean,
is
you're saying they're not trained. You're saying they're racist. I mean, these are blanket
I didn't say that.
statements.
That was a blanket
That's
statement.
The answer is yes, we do know of specific instances in which people, American citizens, have been arrested because they happen to be in a particular place and look a certain way. That has actually happened. They're documented. So this is.
So first off, the lady with the plaid scarf, she needs to be detained for wearing that ratty wig she had on. Okay. She needs to be detained and removed from the streets with that ratty wig that she had on. Okay. That's number one. Number two, Abby Phillip is the worst. Oh, she's the worst. She is the worst. Did you see what she did? So did she know about the issue or the story, the specific story that Ana Navarro was talking about? No. But instead of being balanced, she automatically takes the side of Ana Navarro. And Ana Navarro was wrong. And we're going to get into that. What are your thoughts on that, Nicole?
Listen, this is God bless Scott's heart. God bless his heart and his wallet and his bank account for him putting up with this foolishness day in and day out with these people. I don't like the way Abby presents herself. She's incredibly dry for my particular standard. And more often than not, she's a horrible moderator. Because she never lets anybody get a full thought in before she jumps in and says, no, and then reaffirms the Democrat talking point. But it is CNN, so what do you expect, right? I felt bad for Scott because he was fighting for his life against everybody at the table who had these vagaries. They're shooting dogs in bathrooms. Listen, if your pet pit bull comes charging at me while I'm arresting someone and you can't get him to settle down, it's me or the dog, who do you think's going to win that battle? You can't say they're not trained. Of course they're trained. So Scott is right. They were making these generalizations, but I felt bad for him, probably for the first time, because as Shelley has said before, you can't argue with that type of ignorance because there is no foundation. There is no truth between us where both of us can stand on. It is just getting worse and worse on CNN. They are doubling down on dumb like nobody's business. And I don't know how much longer Scott can put up with it. I mean, to be honest with you, this man must go home and take a bottle of aspirin. Tylenol is his friend when he leaves there. There's no way that's not kind of chipping away at his soul at night.
Oh, yeah. He has to go home and take a shower because he's sitting in a porta potty, of just raw sewage. All right. Shelley, what are your thoughts on this?
Well, I was going to say, I wanted to ask them at that table. They were talking about he know the specific case. Well, let me ask them a few names. Do they recognize? How about Rachel Morin, Jocelyn Ingaray, Laken Riley, and other Americans, particularly women who have been slaughtered by illegal aliens, illegal that don't belong here. So I bet they wouldn't recognize those names right off the top of their hats either. Ana Navarro, you said it, Nicole, but I was going to say it like this. If Mikey or whoever Pookie's coming at the ICE agent, he needs to get 1 or 2 in the hind quarter. That's or maybe flattening his damn muzzle. That's what he needs. Yeah. So keep your pets. And why are you illegal? Why the hell you got pets here? How you feeding them? You feeding off the American economy with your illegality here or whatever else you're doing under the table. And now you got a nerve to have a pet too? Oh, give me a grip. These people, Ana Navarro is so smug. Abby, whatever her name is, but she needs to have an S on the end of her name, not just Philip. It should be Phillips. Okay. She's I think she was trying to embarrass Scott. That's basically what she was doing. She was trying to embarrass Scott. You know, he was a little upset, whatever, but he was making a bigger point. Are they not being trained? So basically, Ana was saying, "Oh, ICE agents don't know what they're doing." That's basically what she was saying. You know, you can't. And who was the lady, the black lady, KJ? What was her name?
I forget her name. She's a
they only go after certain people. You know, in the vocabulary of the left, anybody that's not white is black and brown. Period. Right. So to them, they're going to go after. So anybody going to go. Most of the immigrants, illegal immigrants, happen to be of Hispanic or Latin descent. So of course they're going to be brown people. That's getting on my nerves.
Yeah, they're sickening.
Listen, let's talk about the case that they were talking about, because it can be considered a controversial case. So they were talking about this Cicero case. In Chicago, a teenager, a 19-year-old, she was 19, was left on the roadside along with her siblings. So according to the Department of Homeland Security, their parents were living in the United States without legal permission. Mm-hmm. So they're now being held in separate detention centers facing deportation. So there was a video of the incident. It showed a teenage girl, 19, so she's a woman, on the side of a road shielding her younger siblings as ICE agents arrested their parents and older brother after a traffic stop. So that's what kind of triggered. They were had a traffic stop. And the 19-year-old and her 22-year-old brother, Moses Jr., are speaking publicly for the first time. Okay, so they were speaking publicly according to this news report, and basically said that morning he went with his parents to pick up supplies at Home Depot before the family's birthday celebration when they were pulled over for allegedly making an illegal U-turn. He recalled 3 ICE vehicles blocking them in and agents surrounding their car demanding to see their IDs. They kept asking questions of the dad, and that's when they took the parents. So you didn't have there were younger siblings, but they were left there with their older brother, who was 22, and the older sister, who was 19. So it wasn't like they left them there on the side of the road, these young kids.
Which they couldn't do. They would have to take them to a detention center, or at the very least, the local CPS. Yes,
right. You know, they did them a favor by leaving them with their 2 older adult, because 18 is the age of majority here. In some states, it's 15. Let's do that. 13, you can babysit them. So Ana Navarro is not one to be truthful. She's not truthful on the show that she's on. She's definitely not truthful on shows that she visits on. But what makes it even more disgusting is the smug look on her face that she had as she brought up this quote unquote obscure story about small children being left on the side of the road. That is not how the United States government does it. In fact, you know, when we talk about people illegals having health care in the United States, overwhelmingly, these DACA young people. Overwhelmingly, these are children whose parents have left or sent them here without any parental guidance. Overwhelmingly, the reason why most communities have to build new schools. Overwhelmingly. So this is not a small thing. When we talk about the children and the young people who are in this country illegally without any parental guidance, they either go in detention until they sort it out and find a responsible adult for them, or they go to CPS like any American kids whose parents were arrested. Why should we treat them any differently?
But before we move on, I want to ask you all, because this is a tough story, at least one of the tougher ones we've seen as far as the deportations. And I say that because, you know, these were a family who had been here for many years. They were here illegally, but it wasn't like these parents had any rap sheet of any criminality that we know of other than being here illegal. They made a minor traffic violation. ICE swarms the vehicle and deports them. Does that pull at your heartstrings? I'll start with you, Shelley.
Let me check my heart. Let me see if I got any strings down there. I don't see any loose strings. However, this is what I had an actual question about this particular case. When they were driving, they made the legal turn. ICE had to have been watching them before. So because a legal turn doesn't call for ICE, it normally calls for the local police. So it was more going on to that before they even got to that point.
This is the issue. Well, before you go, I want to just jump in there because this is the issue that leftists are saying. They're saying that ICE is now waiting for illegals to do something, whether it be a minor infraction, traffic violation or whatever, to get them.
Okay.
Because that gives them the probable cause for the over. And so then they probably were on the list.
Yeah, there you go. But that's what the left says, oh, well, coming here legally is not a crime. Okay, so now we've expanded it. So they wait for them to commit a crime. And then, so what do they want to do? They're doing it. They're even giving them additional rope, so to speak. They're even giving them concessions to the left. They say, okay, we're going to wait until they do something. They're here illegally, but now we're going to wait. Now, let me say this. The young kids, of course, I wouldn't say it pulls at my heartstrings. But I can understand young kids, whatever, you with your mom and dad, and your mom and dad are gone. Of course, those children are going to be missing their parents and things like that. That's normal. But I'm of the mindset of Tom Homan. The whole damn family can go.
Yeah. Yes. Let's not bust up the family. Let's not bust up the family. Give mom and dad the option now to self-deport. Self-deport. And there was an older brother, a sister, and 2 younger children with 2 parents. What is that? 6 of them, give or take, right? 6, 7 people in this family at $1,000 a piece in whatever foreign nation they came from in American money. Go back to your homeland. Go back to your homeland, build a beautiful life, raise those children, use that generous gift from the United States government to reestablish yourself in your homeland. We keep hearing from these liberals and these Democrats say that these people are the backbone of the United States. They built America. No, they didn't. Because if they had those capabilities, the countries they came from would be well built and run like well-oiled machines. They're not spending their best and their brightest. That's not what we're getting. We're getting Paco and them selling oranges on the corner. That's who we're getting. That is who we're getting. And ICE is not out patrolling traffic. That's not what ICE does. It is not. Guarantee you, the mother or the father was on somebody's list. And they broke the law when they came here illegally. Now, does my heart break for the little children who had to witness their parents getting arrested by ICE? Yes, my heart breaks for them. It breaks in a million little pieces because these are children who will never know how gracious and how kind and how generous this nation is. What they get to see is the enforcement side of our nation, the law enforcement side of our nation. But we didn't cause that problem. Their parents did. Don't give me this shit, oh, we wanted a better life and blah, blah, blah. Then build a better life where you are. You don't have to come here for a better life. Make your home nation great. We send lots and lots of money to these nations, more money than I care to mention, that we spend building other people's nations so their people won't come here. Send them back home. And that's not me being mean, but I'm saying if we sent back 5-6 million people to their home countries who are allegedly doing so many great things here in the United States, would we not be making their nations great?
Yeah, you're right. That's a very good point. But speaking of these other nations and children in these other nations, there are children in these other nations that are actually being hurt by these illegal migrants. And that takes us to Ireland. Have you all been following the story there? A young 10-year-old child was allegedly assaulted by a migrant, and Ireland is not having it. Take a look. This is clip 4.
So I'm here at the protest at City West Hotel, where a migrant, an asylum seeker that was supposed to be deported, stayed in the country and raped a 10-year-old Irish girl that was in state care. As you can see, things are massively kicking off here. There's probably well over 1,000 protesters. Unfortunately, this isn't the first crime we've seen like this, even in the last year or two. So things are really reaching a boiling point here.
And here is an Irish mom talking about how these migrants are taking over. This is clip 6.
My name is Anne. I live in the village here.
I have a young child that goes to the primary school that's 3 minutes away from this hotel and this complex here in City West. The guys that are here in this iPass centre are drinking alcohol and smoking drugs on the steps of the primary school. I had to call the guards to remove them. This is an everyday occurrence.
Did the guards come and move them?
The guards did, in fairness to them. The guards came last week and moved them on. But our children were 2 minutes about to walk out the door of the school. They're drinking alcohol, they're smoking drugs in the village, in the little square facing the Jacobs pub. This is what we're faced with every day. Drug paraphernalia on the streets. This is not exaggeration. I have no need to be out here. I have a young child at home. None of these mothers or parents that are here. This is our reality. This is our lives now. And now a young girl, 10 years old, allegedly, according to the media, 10 years old, sexually assaulted in these grounds. We've been saying this. There's been people protesting about this for a long time. We've been here consistently. We've begged our government, we've begged our TDs, we've appealed to Jim O'Callaghan directly because we could see this was going to happen. You can see when the young girls are walking through the village, the guys from this centre, ogling the girls walking by.
There's a gymnasium here, isn't there? There's a public
gymnasium right here, and there's young girls going in and out of the gym here also. All the time.
And what could go wrong possibly? A recipe for disaster.
It's all our worst nightmares are already happening.
Wow. So folks, if you are not aware of this, a 26-year-old African migrant. Now, let's see if CNN is looking at this. You guys want to talk about race and colors, black and brown? Well, this was an African migrant whose identity is being withheld from the public due to reporting restrictions, appeared before the Blanchardstown District Court, according to Breitbart, on Tuesday after being charged with sexually assaulting a 10-year-old Irish girl at the City West Hotel in Dublin on Monday. Shelley, what are your thoughts on this? They've had enough.
Yeah. We see, we've been seeing, it's been decades now, but certainly in Europe, there are a lot of immigrant, Muslim, Islamist, illegal migrants or migrants legally that have come there, and they are destroying the cultures of those European countries. So that's number one. Europe hopefully is starting to wake up to say, no, this is enough. We're not going to have it anymore. From France to, we talked about Italy the other day, Milan, and other places in Europe, they're saying enough is enough. That's number one. Number two, this is across the board, whether it's the United States, Europe, or anywhere else. When the authorities, the legitimate authorities, do not take these crimes and their job seriously to protect the people, to protect the town square, if you will, then the people are left to handle things in their own way, to take matters into their own hand, certainly to protect their children and the young in their communities. So this is what's going to happen. I mean, Ireland, they do car bombs very well. I mean, they've been doing that for years. Ireland, between Ireland and the UK and things like that, they've been doing those kind of car bombs well. So, but this is a fault of the government, if you will, in those countries for not protecting the people of those countries, the nationals, if you will. This is a fault of the government. And now, of course, the least among them, the children, are suffering even more.
Yeah. Nicole, I want to get you in on this, but let's talk about in France. I mean, all over Europe, they are pushing back against these illegals. This is Le Pen and she is talking out against the controlling Islamism. This is clip 5.
Mais j'en appelle à la sagesse et au bon sens des Français. Qu'on me donne une raison, une seule, pour garder sur notre territoire des étrangers qui collaborent avec une idéologie totalitaire qui veut la mort des Français. Les binationaux en lien avec l'idéologie islamiste doivent être déchus de leur nationalité et expulsés. Les Français qui adoptent l'idéologie de l'ennemi doivent être traduits devant les tribunaux et punis. Les lois existent, il suffit de les appliquer. Eh bien, moi, Présidente, ces lois seront appliquées sans faiblir. En quelques semaines, je vous le promets, la France aura pris toutes les dispositions nécessaires pour se mettre à l'abri des fichiers S et en totale conformité avec notre état de droit. Les mosquées radicales seront fermées, les prêcheurs de haine expulsés, les associations faunées du salafisme et des frères musulmans seront dissoutes. Avec moi, ayez la certitude que les droits des femmes aujourd'hui contestés par l'obscurantisme islamiste seront garantis à toutes les femmes de France. Avec moi, la sécurité n'ira pas à l'encontre de la liberté, en tout cas de la liberté des honnêtes gens. Je veux le dire et le répéter.
All right. So she's basically saying Islamists must be stopped, brought to justice. Laws need to be applied without weakening. Radical mosques will be shut down. The Muslim Brotherhood will be dissolved. I mean, she went in and they're saying the same thing. Similarly, Georgia Meloni in Italy just put out a ban on a lot of these Islamists. Japan is coming out with a new prime minister making point. I mean, they are starting to crack down. Do you think the Europe has had enough, Shelley?
I think they have. I think they are awakening. And interestingly enough, like in Ireland, I wanted to see, I'm hoping that there were some men there. I know that Mom was speaking, but notice that these three prime ministers that we just mentioned, notice that they were all women. I'm still saying they're taking their lead from Trump, and I love it.
Yeah. Nicole, thoughts on what we're seeing across the pond?
Listen, I'm glad we're seeing it across the globe and even here in the United States. This global migration of terror, and when Americans think of terror, we think of bombs and buildings falling, that kind of thing. But terror, when I think of it, are these little 10 and 12-year-old girls in the UK that are being brutally assaulted by just walking down the street, passed around.
Wow.
You know what I mean? Like, it is so absolutely contrary to what we stand for. Here in the United States, Sharia law and all that encompasses is completely out of step with our constitutional rights. There's no space for us to live or cohabitate in peace. We're just too different. Global migration has harmed many women across this planet. Many, many women across this planet. When you have people who have no regard for anything, especially women and children in their culture, moving into spaces where women and children are loved, protected, and provided for, bad things are going to happen. You know, I salute Le Pen. She's got some issues, but that looks a whole lot like a Trump rally to me. It looked like me standing up there waving a French flag with my lips curled in like hers going, bah, 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 bah. I'm with her. I'm with her 100%. Let's do this, sis. I also stand with Chip Roy, who is doing the same thing, standing up in Texas saying Sharia law can't happen here. It cannot. We have to look at how people assimilate when they come to our nation. If they're not capable of assimilation, we should deny them entry. We should deny them entry and not feel bad about it.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, folks, that does it for us tonight. We won't be on this weekend. Again, will be in Philadelphia, folks. We will be in Philadelphia at the Seed and Roots Conference. Have you all gotten your tickets yet? Do we have that the flyer production? Not sure we have that still. But yes, we will be in Philadelphia on Saturday at the Seed and Roots conference there, and summit. It's the Seed and Roots Summit, and we hope to see you all there. It's going to be a great event. Let me see here. I don't know if they're able to get that up there. We talked about this on Monday, but this is going to be Saturday in Philadelphia. Seed and Roots Summit 2025, presented by Kathy Barnett. So this is going to be at the Liberty View at Independence Visitor Center. They're going to be, it's a conference, or it's more like a conversations on faith, family, and the future of work in America, the cradle of civilization. It's nonpartisan by design, but it is rooted in our values, folks. Okay, this is somewhere you want to be if you watch this show. So there's going to be panels, there's going to be conversations. Some of the conversations are going to be surrounding politics of respectability, reframing family, faith, and dignity, the future of work in America, rebuilding cultural authority, and much, much more. She's got a great speaker lineup here, as you guys can see. Delano Squires, Kazan Asadu, April Chapman. So you all know April Chapman from here on YouTube. Kim Klasick, Ian Rowe, much, much more. So going to be a great event. We are going to be broadcasting there, bringing you all the latest in the best parts of the conference. So you don't want to miss. We're going to bring you back if you are unable to attend, but they still have some tickets available. So definitely come on out Saturday, 9 a.m. in Philadelphia. Hope to see you guys there. All right. In the meantime, tomorrow I will be on Christian Conservative right here on YouTube. We will be bringing you the latest in Christian conservative news. And then check out the All American Talk Show. The All American Talk Show was on last night at All American Talk. Right here on YouTube. So they were talking about the latest in trending news and politics. And then also Just the Guys. If you want to know what's going on as far as communism and how communism is impacting our culture, our politics, our faith, check them out at Just the Guys podcast. So we're all bringing you all this information and more. And this is what it's all about, folks. As you all come in, hit that like button, right? As Ali says, smash the like button before you leave. If you haven't done so already, it helps to get this broadcast out in front of a wider audience. And we appreciate the support, folks. We appreciate all your super chats, everything. Ladies, final thoughts for tonight. I'll start with you, Shelly.
You know what? I'm just ready to get to Philadelphia and get it over with. I'm just ready to go.
Okay. Nicole.
Listen, something fantastic happened October 20th. The rules for naturalization civics test changed. So it's no longer 6 questions that you have to answer right. Now it's 12 out of the 20 questions. And being of good moral character, understanding the United States, its government, and its national symbols. All of these things are now on that test. So it's going to make it a lot harder for people to slip through the cracks in order to say that, you know, they're quote unquote naturalized Americans. So I'm very excited about the way that immigration is moving, and it makes me hopeful for the future. Very hopeful.
All right. All right. Folks, keep watching this New Jersey mayoral election. It's getting hot. It is getting hot with just 2 weeks left. Trump has Jack Ciattarelli is storming the gates. He is Trump's pick, closing in on the swamp creature, Mickey Sherrill. So this race is really heating up. Polls show the polls show that the Jack Ciattarelli is surging. Dems are defecting. And they're even bringing out Obama. So, you know, definitely keep looking on that. If you know anybody in New Jersey, tell them to vote red. Wouldn't it be great if we could have a Republican governor in New Jersey? That would be
That would
great.
be something. That would be something.
Yeah.
Chitterelli is the guy. Let's
A real one.
Yeah. Absolutely. And so you guys know we've all been talking about Virginia. That's another race to watch. If you are in these two areas, reach out to the Republican Party, see if you can go out and knock doors or help in any way you can with these campaigns. We got to win every race we can. This is the red wave crashing the blue wall, folks. And we wanted to knock it down. All right. So we will keep an eye on those races. Got a couple other super chats here, folks. Thank you all so much. Kung Fu CJ says, I guess Rosie will be coming back soon. Ooh,
we don't want her. They can keep her.
No.
They can keep her.
Yes, indeed. Brown Eyes with the $5 super chat says, hello, ladies. I came in late. Better late than never, Brown Eyes.
Absolutely.
Yes, indeed. Thank you so much. We appreciate you. All right, that does it for us tonight, everyone. Thank you all so much for watching. Until next time, count your blessings and live a life of purpose. Good night.
Good night.